Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! Let's go!
14 of the worst NBA teammates of all time. If you've ever played the game of basketball, then you probably know there's always going to be at least one teammate that gets on your nerves to the point where you can't stand their presence. But the players that are on this list took things a step further and completely crossed the line. Now I want to make it clear that this video has nothing to do with their individual talent. This video is only about their lack of ability to respect their teammates. I hope you enjoy the video. Adam Morrison. Now to start off this video, I'm going to be talking about a player who didn't really try to be a bad teammate and never really had bad intentions. And I'm not talking about what he did on the court, it's what he didn't do off the court that made him an undesirable teammate to have. And that was the fact that Adam Morrison never took showers. In a recent interview that involved Jared Dudley, which was one of his teammates on the Bobcats back in 2008, Dudley said that Morrison was by far the worst and most disgusting teammate he has ever had. He would go on to say that Morrison would never take showers, and that he smelled so bad that Gerald Wallace actually had to force him to take a shower at one time. Quote, "Imagine forcing a grown man to take a shower. He should be ashamed of himself." Well, at least the man can say that he's an NBA champion.
Hold up.
Stephon Marbury. Stephon Marbury was a very good scorer in the NBA. He had an average of almost 20 points per game throughout his NBA career. But it wasn't until he joined the New York Knicks where he became a horrific teammate. Back when Isaiah Thomas was the head coach of the Knicks, him and Marbury would constantly argue with one another, whether it be about work ethic or just overall bad attitude. While on a plane trip, it was said that Marbury and Thomas got into a physical altercation after Thomas threatened to take Marbury out of the starting lineup. The New York Knicks never forgot about that situation and later on would eventually ban Marbury from ever attending any Knicks games in the Madison Square Garden. Ricky Davis. Throughout Ricky Davis's NBA career, he managed to put together a few decent scoring seasons. But some would say it's not that hard to score high numbers when you shoot every time you catch the ball. It is known that Ricky Davis was always a ball hog, and it got so bad that one time he even attempted a shot at his own basket to secure a 10th rebound and get his triple-double that he was looking for. And we all know that having a selfish teammate is one of the worst and most annoying kind of teammates to have. Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher played most of his career in LA as a Laker. He won multiple championships there and will always be a fan favorite. But there was one teammate he had that is probably not the biggest fan of him at the moment, and that is Matt Barnes. Sometimes Matt Barnes can be a hothead and will be frustrating with the referees, but this time he is not the bad guy in this situation. Just recently, back in 2015, one night, Matt Barnes got a FaceTime call from his son. He noticed that his son was in a bad mood and that something must have been wrong. And what his son said next made Matt Barnes furious with anger. His son told him that his mom's friend Derek is here, and Barnes instantly knew he was talking about his former teammate Derek Fisher. So he got in his car and rushed to the house where he and his wife, who was in the process of divorcing him, shared for many years. When he got there, he found Fisher and his wife having a bonfire in his backyard. A fight then erupted. It was claimed that Matt Barnes kicked Derek's ass from the backyard into the living room and then continued to assault Fisher until he ran out of the house. I don't know about you, but I completely understand why Matt Barnes acted the way he did. Tony Parker. Tony Parker is the greatest point guard in San Antonio Spurs history, but his former teammate Brent Barry doesn't really care to talk to him off the court anymore. It was known that Tony Parker and his former wife Eva Longoria were very close friends with his former teammate Brent Barry and now his ex-wife, Erin. The two couples would often go out to dinner together multiple times a week, but when Parker's wife, Eva Longoria, went through his phone and discovered text messages that he was exchanging with Brent Barry's wife, Erin, she confronted him immediately. Reports say that Parker claimed that him and Erin were just friends and that the text messages didn't really mean anything. But I'm pretty sure that excuse didn't really fool anybody, because shortly after, both couples filed for divorce and all went their separate ways. Now if that's not a big coincidence, then I don't know what is. Delonte West. I know we all have heard this story a billion times already, but if we are talking about the worst teammates ever, then there's no way I can leave this scandal off the list. Back in 2010, a huge story broke through that LeBron's mom was sleeping with his teammate Delonte West. And it was rumored that that was the reason LeBron later joined the Miami Heat. And I know LeBron's mom looks almost exactly like LeBron in the face, but I can't blame Delonte West for sleeping with her, because in my opinion, she is very thick, and as long as you put a bag over her head, you should be good. Also, reports say that Delonte West doesn't know how this rumor started, and he reportedly denied that he ever slept with LeBron's mom, but I'm sure they went out to dinner together and Delonte ordered a dark-skinned taco, while LeBron's mom ordered a light-skinned hot dog. DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins is known for being one of the last true centers in the NBA, and is a very talented superstar, but Cousins is literally a pain in the ass for almost everybody. He doesn't really get along with his teammates that well. He's been very disrespectful to almost all of his coaches, and has gotten in the face of the media multiple times. He's one of the best centers in the NBA, but his heated temper and short fuse make him very unlikable in the locker room. D'Angelo Russell. It's obvious that being drafted into the NBA at the young age of just 19 years old means that you better grow up and mature very quickly, or your childlike mind can get you into a lot of trouble. During D'Angelo's rookie year as a Laker, he found himself in a room alone with Nick Young, so he decided to whip out his phone and record Nick Young talking about his sexual affairs that he had behind his fiance's back, which was Iggy at the time. No, not that one. I'm talking about Iggy Azalea. Then somehow the video went viral and Iggy found out about the video, so she instantly called off the wedding and they broke up shortly after. Now you would think that Nick Young would be labeled as the bad guy, but it was actually D'Angelo Russell that received most of the hate for breaking the bro code. And even his teammates wouldn't acknowledge his existence for a while. But now that he is on the Brooklyn Nets, Lonzo Ball doesn't have to worry about getting exposed by D'Lo when he experiments with other girls behind his girl's back. Gilbert Arenas. At one point in time, Gilbert Arenas was called the best point guard in the NBA during his prime, but he would always seem to allow things that were not even basketball related get in his way and jeopardize his career. Like the time when he brought a loaded gun into an NBA arena and then actually pulled out the gun in front of the face of his teammate Javaris Crittenton over a gambling situation, and then threatened to shoot him in the locker room. Now if Gilbert Arenas is so willing to pull a gun out on a teammate just over a little money, then he definitely deserves to be on this list. Michael Jordan. MJ is the greatest player of all time. He is beloved by many fans and often left his teammates in amazement over the kind of things he would display on the court. But just because his teammates happen to appreciate his dominance in a game doesn't mean they necessarily were the biggest fan of his during practice. Apparently, there are multiple stories of Michael getting into fights with his teammates during practice. It's been said that their practices were so intense, and Jordan being the competitive person he was, that often punches were thrown. His former teammate Will Perdue said that he's received a punch from Jordan a couple of times, and Steve Kerr said there was this one time where all he did was disagree with him on a foul call, and suddenly Jordan got heated and punched Kerr right in the face. We all know being very competitive in a game is a great characteristic to have, but Jordan didn't have to resort to punching his teammates just to get his point across. Latrell Sprewell. There are so many things that I can mention when it comes to the examples of Latrell Sprewell being a bad teammate, so I'm just going to quickly name them all. There was that time where he got into a heated fist fight with his teammate Jerome Kersey, the time when he said that his $21 million contract wasn't even enough to take care of his family, the time when he threatened to kill his coach PJ Carlesimo, and on top of all of that, which is probably the worst of them all, he was a ball hog on the court. Okay, maybe that's not the worst thing about him, but you can see why he wasn't the greatest teammate to have on your team. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is obviously a living legend and is a true champion, but sometimes he could be rather selfish. And I'm not even talking about all of those horrible contested shots he's taken throughout his career. I'm talking about the time he forced the Lakers management to get rid of Shaq just so he could be the star of the team. Reports say that Kobe gave the Lakers an ultimatum, saying it's either him or me. Now that is a prime example of a selfish teammate. Jason Richardson. Now this one is terrible, and I feel bad for the teammate that Jason Richardson disrespected, and that teammate is Steve Nash. Apparently, when Steve Nash's wife gave birth to their baby back in 2010, it came out black, and it is said that the father is Jason Richardson, but reports say that it was just a rumor and the baby wasn't actually black. but the fact that Steve Nash later on divorced his wife, and the Suns soon after traded Jason Richardson to the Orlando Magic, confirms even more that the rumor was true. Kevin Durant. Now the last one I'm going to be talking about is Kevin Durant, and honestly, out of all the stories I just told, I think this one still pisses me off the most, and I'm pretty sure his former teammate Russell Westbrook is even more pissed off. In 2016, the Oklahoma City Thunder were very close to eliminating the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, but couldn't get the job done. And apparently, right after the loss, Kevin Durant gave a speech to his Thunder teammates saying, "Don't worry, we'll get him next year." But obviously that wasn't his plan, because that summer he joined the Golden State Warriors, the very team that beat him. So my point is, how could he do that to Russell Westbrook after calling him family and stating multiple times that he's like a brother to him? I can't believe he chose Steph Curry over Russell Westbrook, and it still makes me very sick to my stomach, even though I know Steph Curry is a cute ass light skin. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and if you think there's any stories that I missed, make sure to let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.